Howdy my loves. So today we're going to be talking about a very special event that is coming up, and that is in 7 days from now. Taylor Swift is re-releasing 1989, and so 1989, Taylor's version, will be in existence. And of course, I couldn't let this occasion go by because 1989 is a very special album to me. I have said that I'm an Evermore girly, and I still stand true to that, but 1989, it is the album that made me a Taylor Swift fan. That was the album that brought me into the world of the Swifties, and so it will always have a special place in my heart. I thought it would be really fun for the both of us, maybe a little bit more fun for me, to do book recommendations based on all the songs on 1989. Now, of course, it hasn't come out yet, but I thought that I could start with the pre-existing songs and then do a second part when the songs from the vault come out. We're going to be doing all the original songs, one book for every single song within that album, and I'm so excited, and these do include the deluxe album songs as well. So the first song in the album is Welcome to New York. This song is very special to me because I heard this as my surprise song at the Taylor Swift Eras Tour concert. I went to MetLife night 3, so it was on a Sunday, and she played the acoustic version of Welcome to New York. It just gives me first time in New York City, I'm a motherfucking city girl vibes, you know what I mean? The book that I chose for this song is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I feel like this book does not get enough hype as its counterpart, which is Red, White, and Royal Blue. You might recognize the author, Casey McQuiston, because Red, White, and Royal Blue just came out as a movie on Amazon Prime. Personally, loved it. And I wish that the sapphic version written by Casey McQuiston was given as much justice as the gay version was. I thought this book was so cute. I gave it 5 stars. I think that it was such an immaculate way to showcase a sapphic romance. And the reason that I picked Welcome to New York is because obviously it is set in New York. But the main character, August, she actually really hates New York. She's used to being a loner, and so she's not really embracing the city, even though she's decided to live there. She's living with a bunch of roommates. She doesn't really feel any sort of way. She's just kind of very cynical about life until she meets Jane. This is kind of a paranormal romance because she meets Jane on the subway. She notices Jane because she's this very punk rock 70s style, and she's like, oh, vintage, very cool. Turns out that it's not vintage. Jane is actually a relic of a different time. So she, without knowing it, is stuck on this subway. Something happened to her in the 70s. She's not really sure what, and August and Jane are trying to figure out what exactly happened to her, and meanwhile they're falling in love with each other. I didn't just pick the song Welcome to New York because it was set in New York City, although that definitely helps. It's because Jane is trying to get August to embrace her life, and I feel like through this story, August really starts to open up, embrace where she lives, try to make the most out of the people within her life. Because before this, like I said, she's very much a non-participant in her environment. She's just kind of resigned to be a loner. And Jane really opens her up and gets her to appreciate the city. She's trying to get to know and get to embrace life with the help of Jane. The next song is so iconic. It's Blank Space. This is a song that I just was so blown away when it came out, when Taylor really went at the stereotypes that were being brought against her. The book that I chose for this is Lightlark. I know that might seem like an odd choice because it is a fantasy romance, but let me just explain to you.
Let me tell you something!
The song really does call attention to the ridiculousness of how people perceive Taylor as a woman who's dating. The main character of Lightlark, her name is Isla, and she is a wildling. What that means is that basically within different kingdoms, and each of them have a curse placed against them. Her people, her curse is that they actually eat hearts, and they go around as temptress, almost succubus vampire type of vibes. When she goes to Lightlark the island to fight against the curse, she is almost fighting this stereotype that she's gonna seduce everyone. That's how she's going to go about it. One of the main love interests start to feel something for her. He thought that she was using her powers to seduce him because he had never felt anything in all the hundreds of years that he's ever been alive. he has made it a point to not get romantically involved with anybody. And when he starts to feel things for her, he kind of blames her powers while she's just trying to exist, and she doesn't even have those powers. The reason that I picked Blank Space was because it says magic, madness, heaven, sin. I feel like magic, madness, heaven, sin is like such a good way to describe the book. There's so much magic going around. Each of the lands have different magical abilities. Oh my god, look at that face. You look like my next mistake. Loves a game, wanna play. In this land, playing a game, essentially. They're trying to play each other. They're trying to see who to trust. It's kind of like, it's a very much a mental game. When you love someone on this island, they have access to your powers, which is very dangerous. So I feel like a lot of the quotes and motifs that Taylor uses in Blank Space are a good reference to Lightlark. Personally, I am a big fan of King Oro. He's the king of Lightlark, and this line just made me really happy where it says, stolen kisses, pretty lies, you're the king, baby, I'm your queen. Find out what you want, be that girl for a month. Wait, the worst is yet to come. Rose garden filled with thorns keep you second guessing like, oh my god, who is she? That part is just a really surprisingly very good description of the dynamic between Oro and Isla. He needs her, and like even on the cover it's like roses with thorns on it, and her curse is to eat hearts and to seduce people, but their power has to do with nature. He actually wants her because of her affinity to nature, and he thinks that they're looking in the skies because he used to be able to fly. They're looking in gardens because that's what her affinity is for. I was very surprised at how good the lyrics matched up with this book. That book I actually do have a full reading blog on. I'll link it down below. It's on my other channel. The next song is Style. Guys, when that intro plays, boosts my serotonin. My choice of book that went with that song is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. I only gave 3 books 5 stars last year, and that was one of them. I think I like it so much because between Stella and Michael, Michael is just very soft on Stella. So Stella's a very intelligent, very rich person. She not only has a trust fund, but she makes a lot of money because she's into like statistics. Although she's very successful in her career, she's 30 years old, she's never been in love. She doesn't understand dating. She's on the spectrum. And so she hires Michael, who is an escort. It's kind of like the teaching dating trope, or like fake dating. And I always love that kind of trope. It just makes me really endeared to like the whole situation. I don't know what it is about it. I love it. I think this whole song is like, it's not about a couple that's in love. It's like a couple that's like going up and down. It's very tumultuous, but there is some tension there. There's some romantic feelings there. And I feel like that describes Michael and Stella really well, because Michael's trying this whole time to basically set her up to date other people. Like that's the intention of this, is like he's trying to show her how to be in a relationship, where it says, I should just tell you to leave because I know exactly where it leads, but I watch us go round and round each time. And basically like Michael doesn't think he's fit for a relationship, but Stella only wants Michael. Like she gets so attached to him because he makes her feel so comfortable. He does all of these sweet romantic gestures, even though he's like, no, it's not romantic. And they just slowly, very slowly fall in love with each other. And I love it. And I also think Style's a really good one because Michael has an affinity for clothes. He loves designing clothes, and I think one of the cutest things in the story is that he loves to dress her and he loves making clothes for her. He really sees her as like this perfect person, like almost too good for him. And where it says, you got that long hair, slick back white t-shirt, and I got that good girl faith and a tight little skirt. It's like a very good parallel as to how Michael sees them. The next song is Out of the Woods. I absolutely love the bridge of this song, and I think it is a crime that she did not play this during the Eras tour. The book that I chose for this is Junkie by Cambria Herbert. I never know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. But I love this book so much. It is an romance. It is a spin-off of the Hashtag series, Hashtag Nerd, which is about Romeo and Rimmel. That's like a football romance. And then they have best friends who are Ivy and Brayden. That's a football romance as well. They're all at the same college. Then Ivy has has a brother. His name is Drew, and he is the main character in Junkie. Then Trent is the other main love interest, who is his best friend, and he is also on the football team with the two couples from the original series. It's just a very cute best friends to lovers. It's not my favorite trope, and when it happens, it can be very tumultuous, but I feel like this couple just made the most sense. They constantly spend time with each other. Drew is trying to break into the world of race car driving, and Trent is trying to help him do that. They are very connected in their careers. Out of the Woods is a really good song because the entire time that they're together, they're wondering, like, especially Trent is like wondering, when is this gonna end? Like, he's the one who got feelings first. He's the one who made the first move. And I feel like he's constantly like, are we out of the woods yet? Especially in the beginning where it says, it all seemed so simple. We were lying on your couch. I remember. When they first got into a relationship, that's what they were doing. They were lying on the couch with each other, watching Terminator, trying to see how they could transition from best friends to a relationship. And then all of a sudden, Trent was attacked because people in his life found out that he was gay. Remember when you hit the brakes too soon, 20 stitches in a hospital room. When you started crying, baby, I did too. But when the sun came up, I was looking at you. I remember when you couldn't take the heat. I walked out. I said, I'm setting you free. And the monsters turned out to be just trees. When the sun came up, you were looking at me. As a result of Trent getting attacked, he tries to break up with Drew and he says, I'm letting you go because you will be a target if we continue this relationship. And Drew does not accept that. And I think that it's so sweet how much they fought for each other, and they're constantly just trying to make sure that the other is protected and safe. And so I feel like Out of the Woods Yet is such a good song for that. The next song that we have is All You Had to Do Was Stay. And the book that I chose for this was Whispers of You by Catherine Cowles. I really chose this song because the main conflict in this book is between Ren and Holt. They were together from the time they were like really young. They were teenagers, they were so in love, and they spent all their time together, but unfortunately something happens where Ren gets shot. Holt blames himself because he was late to dinner, and that's why she was alone when she got attacked. For some reason, instead of, working through it and making sure she was safe, he left her. And so the part where it says, when you say you've changed, the more I think about it now, the less I know. All I know is that you drove us off the road. All you had to do was stay. Had me in the palm of your hand then. Why'd you have to go and lock me out when I let you in? Now he's back in her life. He thinks that she's holding this grudge against him. And she's like, I'm not mad at you because I got shot. I don't blame you at all. I'm mad at you because you left me. It's them trying to work through that issue, especially now that there's another conflict in her life. And when he's back, she's like, now you say you want it back now that it's just too late. Well, could have been easy. All you had to do was stay. Like, he's kind of realizing that he wants her back in his life. And so it's about the conflict of like, is he gonna stay for the long haul this time? The next song is Shake It Off. I had a really hard time placing this song, but I did have a general sense of what I wanted it to be, and I immediately thought that it was such a good song for a grumpy sunshine. And I finally came up with a book that I thought was really great for this, and that is Luna and the Lie by Mariana Zapata. If you guys don't know at this point, I am a huge Mariana Zapata fan. The fatter her books get, the more I fall in love with her. I don't know what to say. Luna and the Lie is one of those books that I just reread so often. It's about Luna, the main character, and Rip, who is the main love interest. Luna is one of those girls that just, like, a lot of bad things happen to her, and she just continues with her life. The whole time in the book, she just like has this mantra where she's like, I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm happy. Like, she's just trying to get through it, try to be very positive and not let it get her down. And so I feel like Shake It Off is like a very good background song for her. She just does not want anything to ruin her vibe. I'm envious of you, girl, because if the wind blows the wrong way, I get pissy immediately. She's obviously the sunshine in the relationship. Now the grump is Rip. Now the reason it's called Luna and the Lie is because she actually told a lie on his behalf to law enforcement because she really trusts him. She's had a crush on her boss for like years, but because of that, he now owes her a favor, and so one day she cashes it in. The one thing I love about Mariana Zapata is that, like, I love how like slow the progression is of the romance. Luna and the Lie I felt was so rewarding at the end when Rip finally gives in and starts to be so sweet with her. Shake It Off is just a very good way to describe how positive Luna looks at life, how she uses that mentality to interact with the people within in her circle. She's so sweet, so kind-hearted. The next song is I Wish You Would. The book that I chose for this is Him by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. It's an hockey player romance. So the reason that I picked I Wish You Would, it's very much like miscommunication trope, which normally I don't like, but actually in this book, it really did work. The song goes, you say it's in the past, you drive straight ahead, you're thinking that I hate you now because you still don't know what I never said. I wish you would come back, wish I never hung up the phone like I did, and I wish you knew that I'll never forget you as long as I live. I feel like it really does describe Wesley's point of view, and so Wesley and Jamie were best friends. They went to hockey camp together every year. One night when they were like 18 years old, they ended up fooling around together, and Wesley has always had a thing for Jamie. Like, Wesley knows he's gay, but Jamie's kind of just like doing his thing. Like, he doesn't really think about his sexuality in that way. Kind of like gay best friend having a crush on their straight best friend, except Jamie isn't really all that straight. Wesley, after that, basically freaks out and decides to cut Jamie out of his life. He feels so guilty for what he did. He felt like he took advantage of his best friend, and Jamie's just confused. He was like, I don't really care, but Wesley didn't really give him the chance to explain. They meet up again 4 years later after they're both playing for their respective hockey teams on their college. They didn't realize that both of them would be working for the same hockey camp that they went to years ago as counselors and their roommates. Basically, it's like a confrontation of all those feelings, and it's kind of like them getting over their past conflict and also getting back together and seeing if there's something more there than just friendship. I loved it. I thought it was such a cute book. The next song is the iconic Bad Blood. Are you even a Taylor Swift fan if you didn't watch the Bad Blood music video about 10 billion times? The book that I chose for this is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gahn. To summarize the book, it is a fantastic enemies to lovers, actually childhood lovers to enemies to lovers. The reason that I chose Bad Blood is because it's a song of betrayal, and I feel like that encapsulates the relationship between Roma and Juliet. It is also a Romeo and Juliet retelling. It's also set in the 1920s. Roma and Juliet are children from rivaling gangs. As children, they were very much in love with each other. One day, something changes. They don't tell you exactly what it is, but basically there's a time jump, and Roma and Juliet have grown up a lot. Juliet actually went to America, came back, and Roma does not recognize her. She is suddenly ruthless. She's fine with killing. She's actually so fine with killing. Basically, it's alluded to that he did something horrible to make her hate him. And so the only reason that they come in contact again is because something paranormal is happening within their city, where there's like a sickness that is killing all these people and it's causing mayhem. And so they decide to team up only to figure out what this big bad is. I feel like Bad Blood is like Juliet's perspective, where she's just like, there's so much happening there. I'm not willing to let it go. You did something horrible to me and I loved you and you betrayed me. I think that Bad Blood is just like a very good encapsulation of all those like very tumultuous feelings. And so if you're looking for a really good enemies to lovers, check out These Violent Delights. The next song is Wildest Dreams. It's such a good song. The book that I chose for the song is a really special one. It's called Sinner by Sierra Simone. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this book a lot, but you might know the first book in the series, which is Priest. Yeah, that one. The second book in the series is Sinner. All the books are about corrupting religious people. This book is about Zenny and Sean. Zenny is going to be a nun. Her religious leader is basically telling her to go get a life, which I think is hilarious. Because she's like, listen, you're making this promise to God to like give up your life, but you haven't even like lived your life. You haven't been tempted by anything out there to know what you're giving up. Sean is much older. Zenny propositions Sean and says, teach me what it's like to be in a relationship. So age gap romance, and also like that teaching trope, which I'm okay with. He is the sinner in this relationship. He's working for a corrupt organization. He's making a lot of money for himself. He's a player. He doesn't really like care much about his morality. He really does not like God, but he loves Zenny. She fell first, but he fell harder. They know that this has an expiration date because she's gonna become a nun, and they're just hoping that in the end they'll remember each other just as they were together. I thought, heaven can't help me now. Nothing lasts forever, but this is gonna take me down. He's so tall and handsome as hell. He's so bad, but he does it so well. I can see the end as it begins. My one condition is, say you'll remember me, standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset. And not only that, but when you get sworn into the convent, or at least when she did, she was wearing a nice dress. And so she was like, please remember me as I am now. I want us to always remember this relationship. And they're fully in love with each other by the time that the relationship ends. The next song is How You Get the Girl, and the book that I chose for this is She Gets the Girl by Rachel Lippincott. Other than the book title just being very similar to the song title, I think that it's a really good representation of what's going on in the story. Alex is a very big flirt. She has no problem getting into relationships very quickly, but her ex breaks it off with her because she doesn't ever get emotionally invested in anybody, and she's just quick to move on from relationship to relationship. Alex meets Molly, who's like the opposite. Like, Molly is in love with this girl named Cora, but has never even spoken to her. So Alex sees an opportunity to prove to her ex-girlfriend, like, hey, I'm not a shallow asshole. I'll help this girl get with this other girl. It's kind of like Cyrano de Bergerac teaching her how to get another woman. Alex is telling Molly how to like embrace life, how to be a little bit more confident, and Molly's kind of showing her what the depths of a relationship can offer. And so it's a very cute teaching, sapphic romance, and I feel like How You Get the Girl fits really well. The next one is such a good song. This Love. This like very romantic song reminds me so much of It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. The book It Happened One Summer is about Piper and Brendan. Piper is like this spoiled socialite. I think she's in her late 20s. Her stepfather, to teach her a lesson, he actually ships her off to Westport, which is a fishing town where her late father actually passed away. He actually had a bar there that the stepfather had control of and gave to Piper to teach her some responsibility. Hannah, her sister, volunteers to go with her. Meanwhile, Brendan is the opposite of Piper. He has responsibility down his bones. He's a captain of a fishing ship. He had a wife who died 7 years ago before the story takes place from an aneurysm. Piper and Brendan meet, and they don't get off on the best terms because they're very opposite. I chose This Love because they do have a very slow, almost quiet love that they build with each other, and there's a lot of allusions to water and ships within the song This Love, and I felt like it was such a good description of the setting. Clear blue water, high tide came in and brought you in. And I could go on, and I will. Skies grew darker, currents swept you out again, and you were just gone and gone and gone and gone. In silent screams, in wildest dreams, I'd never dreamed of this. Piper just had no idea how to really be invested in anyone. I'm not fit for waiting for this guy by the dock. He's a fisherman. Every couple months, he's gonna be gone. But you were still gone, been losing grip on sinking ships. You showed up just in time. This love is good, this love is bad, this love is alive, back from the dead. So there was a point in the book where something happened on their ship and she didn't know what happened. Rushes to the hospital, she's so worried about Brendan, and he's there and he's fine. I feel like that was the moment that she realized how obsessed she was with him. They're not like huge romantic gestures that they're displaying for each other. It's just that they're quietly showing up for each other, and I love it. I freaking love that book. The next song is I Know Places, and the book that I chose for this is Trick Play by Erin Finley. Trick Play is from the Fake Out series. The whole series is the trope of fake dating. Trick Play is about Matt and Noah. First part of the song describes Matt's dilemma really well, and it goes, it's a scene and we're out here in plain sight. I can hear them whisper as we pass by. It's a bad sign, bad sign. Something happens when everybody finds out. See the vultures circling dark cloud. Love's a fragile little flame, it can burn out. Matt is a gay football player, but he wasn't out yet. He's in the NFL. One night he's caught at a gay club dancing, and people make him out to be this salacious, horrible person. To fix his public image, Damon, who is his manager, says, we need to get you in a relationship with someone who is PR friendly, who's gonna make you seem like you're settled, you're not a party animal, and in comes Noah. Noah is the son of a senator. He works with nonprofits. So the two of them are thrown into this fake relationship. They end up actually getting into a sexual relationship, but it also does devolve into feelings. The whole time, it was about them figuring out like how to hide, how do they hide what they want to hide and show what they want to show to the public. They had to act cutesy, meanwhile they were like hiding feelings from each other. The next song is Clean. I think that Taylor was in a 1989 mood when she came to Vent Live Night 3 because that was another surprise song that I got during the Eras tour. I almost felt like crying hearing people singing Clean while she was playing on the piano. The book that I chose to go with this is The Tragedy of Felix and Jake by J. Daniels. I feel like Clean can be a reference to clean as in like drugs and alcohol and like struggling with addiction, and it almost does allude to that where it's like, I'm finally clean, like I finally got rid of you. Not only is Jake getting off of a bad relationship, his girlfriend cheated on him while he was in the army. As a result, he relapsed and did drugs. When Jake relapses, he calls his brother and his brother takes him home. He decides to get a sponsor. His sponsor is Felix. He's a very young kid. He's very sunshiny and he had a very bad childhood and his parents drove him to do drugs. And so the whole book, they're like trying to navigate this relationship, and as well as the fact that it's really bad to date your sponsor, how they're struggling with addiction. It was a really good representation of the song Clean, especially where it says, hung my head as I lost the war and the sky turned black like a perfect storm. Rain came pouring down when I was drowning. That's when I could finally breathe. And by morning, gone was any trace of you. I think I am finally clean. I feel like this song is really good for the story because it comes from a dark place, but showing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, even when it's raining and pouring and this horrible thing happened, but I'm on the other side of it. The next song is Wonderland, and I love this song so much. I'm so glad it's on the deluxe version. The book that I'm gonna pair with this song is actually Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. The reason that I picked it for Wonderland is because, first of all, the first part of the song is flashing lights and we took a wrong turn and we fell down a rabbit hole. You held on tight to me because nothing's as it seems, and spinning out of control. Really describes the initial conflict of Henry and Alex. Originally did not like each other. There was an incident and it caused this like scandalous event that happened. Henry is the Prince of England and Alex is the son of the president. So they cannot have bad publicity. Because everyone took pictures of the events, the flashing lights happened, they took a wrong turn, now they're stuck together because they have to make it seem like they're the best of friends, because otherwise it's going to be a really bad public nightmare for both of their parents. They start arranging events to make it seem like they're the best of friends. They had these like preconceived notions about the other. They were trying to figure out their relationship together once they realized that they do like each other. Didn't it all seem new and exciting? I felt your arms twisting around me. I should have slept with one eye open tonight. We found Wonderland, you and I got lost in it, and we pretended it could last forever. They fall into this pattern of like having these trysts. They keep meeting each other at different events, carving out little tiny spaces for themselves and pretending basically that it could last forever even though it couldn't. And so I feel like Wonderland is a good representation of like that middle spot where nobody knew about their relationship yet. They were really good at building these like little tiny pockets of time just for them. The next song, You Were in Love. This song is so underrated in my opinion. It gives me the same vibes as This Love, where it's like quiet, tender, best friends to lovers. Like the book that I chose for this is actually a book that I read just recently, and it might surprise you when I say what it is because it's kind of spooky. Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. It's about Callum and Lark. Lark just lost her husband in a tragic accident and she decides to take a job as an animator in Ireland. She rents an apartment and right next door is a funeral parlor, which she did not know about, and it is run by a man named Cal. Cal is 34 years old, so shy. I would consider him a soft boy. Like he's just so shy. He's always run this funeral parlor. His grandfather left it to him in the will. He really wanted Callum to, number one, not be alone, and number two, he wanted to make sure that the funeral parlor would stay in the family. He put it that Callum had to be married, otherwise the funeral home would not go to him. Lark is this very bubbly, sunshiny type of girl. It's like this very slow progression into friends and then best friends and then lovers. They could slowly feel the other falling in love with them because of like very small, quiet things. And I feel like Taylor describes it really well. She says, no proof, one touch, you felt enough. You can hear it in the silence. You can feel it on the way home. You can see it with the lights out. You are in love. True love. Lark doesn't have a car, so Callum would like drive her home at night. They would have these like quiet routines together. They would watch movies together. She would pop in popcorn. Every night they would do things together in the name of being best friends, and slowly they just fell in love with each other. One night he wakes, strange look on his face, pauses, then says, "You're my best friend," and you knew what it was. He was in love. Lark could tell that he was really getting attached to her. So at the same time, she's like pushing him away, like trying to get him to date other people. But they're so interconnected at this point that she doesn't want to lose him as a friend. I feel like the book was just so utterly cute. I loved it so much. The last song is New Romantics. I can't believe we're on the last song. The book that I chose is a book that I read recently, and it's called The Dead Romantics. Dead Romantics is again about a family that owns a funeral parlor, and Florence Day is actually a ghostwriter for a very famous author. Something happened in her personal life where she was really heartbroken. She feels that she can no longer write romance books because she herself doesn't believe in romance. So she goes to her editor. His name is Ben. He's like, "Well, suck it up. You gotta write it." Even worse news, she gets the call that her father died. She has to go home because she was in New York. She left her entire family behind, and she has to go home to her hometown where there's also a lot of bad memories there. She could see ghosts. In her hometown, she had solved a murder by talking to the ghost and figuring out what happened to him. There was a lot of publicity around it. At the time, everybody made fun of her and bullied her. She really misses her father. He was the only one who could also see ghosts. Florence is in this awkward spot trying to figure out how to execute her father's will because he's very specific instructions for the funeral. And while all that's happening, Ben, the editor that she had a conversation with a couple days ago, shows up at her door dead. While she's like trying to deal with her family and execute her father's will, Ben kind of tags along with her because he seems to only exist when he's with her. This book, the main part of it was like her dealing with her own trauma, her grief, her breakup, her writer's block, like all of that kind of stuff. And Ben was just kind of there to quietly support her and offer her emotional support that whole time. And the romance was kind of secondary to that. I feel like New Romantics is the story of people who are trying to figure out their life. Like it feels like a very like early 20s song. Like you just don't know what's going on. We wait for trains that aren't coming. We show off our starlit letters. Trust me, mine is better. We're so young, but we're on the road to ruin. We play dumb. We cry tears of mascara. Like it's a hot mess. Florence is in that stage where she just like doesn't know who she is yet, doesn't know what she wants out of life. She's very confused, but she knows that she's able and capable of making that into something better. So by the end of the story, she kind of learns how to deal with her grief and her trauma in order to make something great. And so it says, "'Cause baby, I could build a castle out of all the bricks they threw at me, and every day is like a battle, but every night with us is like a dream." She's learning how to take all of that trauma and channel it into something great, even though people have used it against her in the past. If you're looking for like a very autumnal book, that's a good one to read. Those are all the original 1989 songs. So happy to talk about this album, and I can't wait to listen to the vault tracks. And we're gonna make a part 2 to have book recommendations to those vault tracks. Please let me know what album I should do next. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Look at her style from the street. Look at her style from the ghetto. This I will never make it big.